I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy Eternity Time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for another brand new episode, and for this one, it's going to be a two-parter. It was a longer interview, and also I'd say that the second half really has a flavor of its own. So it's going to come to an abrupt ending in part one, and then part two will be next week. So I hope you guys enjoy part number one. And with that, I had mentioned in the very first episode of Timeless Spirituality, which was back in November of 2021, that while this show is ultimately about the listener and the guest, it's also about me and my journey. So I brought up, I think towards the beginning of this episode, that I was reluctant to kind of explore topics like this on the podcast. And the term that I was falling short on was self-righteousness. I didn't bring that particular term up, but now I have, the word for it. It's self-righteousness. And I would say it's a misguided form of self-righteousness that has really prohibited me from fully diving into these topics because frankly, I thought that I was above it. And that was stupid. I'm just going to say it. That was stupid. I need to get off my high horse. And I can explore things like Stargates and twin flames and stuff like that on the podcast, which, you've heard a little bit about. But nonetheless, yeah, it was a misguided sense of self-righteousness. So I hope you guys enjoy part number one about Stargates. And next week, yes, we'll have a different flavor to it. And that will be a whole other one that could open up a can of worms or can of beans, whatever the expression is. Could get me in some trouble. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoy this. So with all that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can go ahead and book through my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now, it's time to begin. Marie, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you? Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm excited. You're somewhat of an internet celebrity now. I can't claim credit for that, for bringing you on Timeless Spirituality. I think another show had something to do with that. But nonetheless, I'm in the presence of a celebrity right now. So thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Oh, you're so sweet. I wouldn't go that far. I'm more so like the new joke, the Stargate lady, the crazy Stargate lady. I'm a punchline.
Well, like a recent hearing, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. That was a Fauci joke.
That's funny.
Do you want to just remind everyone who is Marie?
Yes. So I'm an author, speaker. I like to also consider myself like a guide and a bridger. I speak a lot about how time is an illusion, but lately I've dove into the energy of Stargates and what we can do and how we can connect as a collective to help heal the Stargates, heal the energy on planet Earth. And I also kind of channel into the energy of the Akashic records and how to really bridge timelines.
Cool.
All that fun stuff, right?
All that fun stuff. So before we dive in, I just want to, say this with you here. I'm probably going to speak about you in the third person because I have a habit of doing that for some reason, whenever shadow work. I have been largely reluctant to dive into these types of topics in the past. I try to stray away from like the spiritually sexy stuff. And I put that in quotes, like the sexy stuff that would be on the spiritual community on Instagram. And I realize that most of it just comes from a place of, how do I put it? I don't want to say it's moral superiority, but it's more this misguided feeling of, oh, because everyone else does that, I can't. I'm better than that. And I realize that that's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I can explore these topics on the show, but do it in my way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of my hesitancy has also been, and I'm going to say this, I think a lot of people are full of shit. I think a lot of people who talk about these concepts, one, have no idea what they're talking about, but present themselves as experts. Two, I think they do it because they know that it gets clicks. Therefore, it brings notoriety. And I think that there's a lot of ego involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
Three, still, what do I know? Like, I think that that's the other thing. I focus more on past life regression because I've been immersed in it for over a decade now. And I feel like I'm more knowledgeable about that. But nonetheless, why can't I bring up these conversations or these topics on the show and explore them, but still do it in my own way and do it with people who I believe their heart is in the right place, which leads me to you. I guess I didn't end up talking about you in the third person, but I probably will shift now. See, I need to work on not thinking out loud all the time. I've known you probably for close to a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, I believe that you talk about these things and these topics because you genuinely believe in them and you genuinely believe that the world will be a better place if people explore them. I don't think you're doing it because it might necessarily be the flavor of the week, even though you said in your introduction that you're talking about this more, exploring it now. But I genuinely believe that you genuinely believe what you're talking about and are doing it for the right reasons. Did it end up getting you noticed and having the Daily Show reach out to you? Yeah, but I don't think that's why you did it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think I feel more comfortable talking to you about this, whether or not you're an expert. By the way, I don't think anyone can be an expert in these things because
Exactly.
who's actually seen a Stargate?
Yeah.
Or if they have, I don't think anyone talking about it has. So nonetheless, I just believe that your intentions are more pure.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And yeah, I do really believe in this stuff. And I've always believed in this energy and this frequency on planet Earth. And since I've been young, I've always asked these deep questions. And I will keep asking questions. And I think that's where, wisdom stems from, is that we keep asking questions to one another. We keep listening to nature, to our guides, to any higher power or source, creator, God, and we listen. And yeah, I personally don't like putting myself out there. Like, I spent years really meditating, studying, reading a lot of books, other channelers for years, and finding my own craft, tapping into that energy. But I kept having this feeling that I needed to pour this love into humanity and help humanity. And I think so many souls are like that on planet Earth. And in any place, I do think there's good and bad everywhere. So, just like the spiritual community, when you said in the beginning, I believe there's good and bad in the spiritual community space, just like in every religion, there's good and bad. And I agree with you. I'm triggered sometimes quite a bit by the spiritual community because a lot of things aren't actually honored or respected that have happened in history. And I think timelines and past lives are so important because we carry so much energy and beliefs and this blueprint of remembering. And I think we are here to remember. This is the whole, people call it an awakening journey. I like to call it a remembering journey. So I think it's just, important. But personally, I don't like putting myself out there. I knew the Daily Show, it was going to be like a mocked segment, but I had fun with it. Everyone was so amazing. The staff, the crew, Josh, like it was actually such a great experience that they created such a safe space. And we actually had a conversation for longer than 2 hours. And it was a great chat. And I think it just will, like how we briefly spoke earlier, that humor opens people up. So some people might really not like it. And I've gotten negative feedback, but then I've gotten a lot of positive feedback where people are like, hey, you actually made me believe. So if that helps shift one person, I think that's good work.
Yeah, I'll toast to that. Cheers.
Right?
So before I ask you what a Stargate is, where are you receiving your information from?
So for me, I'm tapping into my guides. It's mainly my original guides, but sometimes different star seed lineages do come through. So, like the Pleiadians, the Lyrans, the Anunnaki have really been coming through lately, which I do want to tap more into that energy. But that's where my information mainly has been coming in. And sometimes it does take a little research looking at, like, okay, where are certain ley lines, where are certain monuments. But I channeled certain primary stargates, and some other channelers have received other ones. So it's crazy because sometimes when I put out, oh, this is Stargate 5 or this is Stargate 11, or I was recently in Iceland and I asked my guides, is this a Stargate? And they were like, sure, let's make this Stargate 13 an integration because ice and fire and the energy to integrate. And I was like, wow, this really resonates. So I'm just trusting what is coming through. I'm not saying I'm right, and I try to always say that I don't know if I'm right, but it's what aligns with me, and I put it out into the collective. And if it aligns with somebody, beautiful. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and there's no hard feelings. I'm not trying to force this belief on anybody. I'm trying to see if it helps. But I think there's been a lot of other channelers, and even a book I've heard from a British author in the 90s who actually wrote about Stargates. So I think there's a lot of information also out there. Like, I heard from other people saying that also the History Channel has done an episode on the Stargates. So I think this is like, it's not like a new concept. Like, it's known in the collective. It just takes shifting your awareness to remember this energy.
So what is a Stargate?
To me, a Stargate is an energy field, and it is where the veils are very thin between the dimensions, so between the non physical and the physical world. And how I look at a Stargate, it's a creation done by Mother Gaia. So nature herself, planet Earth. And it's the 12 primary Stargates that I see are like chakra points on planet Earth. But then I've asked, okay, because I'm a very big believer that we come from Africa. That's where the cradle of humanity is. And I asked, are there Stargates there? And they're like, yes, there's these Stargates. Like, I think I received 7, but I need to go more deeper into that because I journal, but sometimes my human mind forgets and I have to record myself what is coming back. But also, I sit down, or when I'm in nature, I ask and it does come through. So, and I feel like I invite anybody to tap in and meditate or go for a walk, be in nature, sit with Mother Gaia and ask these questions because you might receive different answers, but those answers might be the answers that are meant for you. So I think it's really important that I vocalize that because I don't want people thinking, oh, you need to come to me to understand these stargates. Absolutely not. The stargates are in each and every one of us. So the Stargate, yes, it's an energy field, and it is where the energy, I believe, it's certain monuments and also mountains, it's water, it's certain nature points and monuments created by mankind and also some extraterrestrial beings who helped create these beautiful places because they felt that energy there. They felt that frequency there. So they were giving back, they were gifting. So, for example, Stargate 5 to me is the pyramids, it's Egypt. So there was energy there. There was this sense of technology, written script, messages, codes built in that in the pyramids. And I'm not that well educated on the Stargate 5 pyramid, but I do want to go deeper because I think that has a lot of ties to also what is happening with Stargate 10 Iran. Like to me, it's all connected. And that's the thing about ley lines. It's ley lines and connection. And with the Stargate of the energy, I look at it as an energy field, but also that Mother Gaia put her frequency and she wove it into the ley lines, the waters, the trees, the wind. So that's why nature really is a huge element in the idea of stargates.
So last time I had you on the podcast, I said, "Hey, Marie, talk to me like I'm a third grader. Imagine that, or grade three, or as you would call them in Canada." And right now, I feel like I'm talking to Maya Angelou. So when I hear Stargate, I think of the Kurt Russell movie. I saw it
Yes.
when I was a kid, and in that movie, a Stargate was something that you walk through. It was like a portal, and it
Mhm.
took you to somewhere else. That's what I see. So this thing you're talking about right now, it sounds very poetic, but I'm like, huh? What?
Yes.
What?
Oh,
What?
sorry. Let
What
me
is it?
let me. And I've never seen the movie, people, but I am going to watch it now. You sold it to me. You're like, you need to watch it. And who doesn't like a good Kurt Russell movie? So I need to. Okay, let me explain. So it is like a portal, but there's many portals on planet Earth. The Stargates are beyond portals. They're more advanced. They're more of the field of energy. Portals change, they shift and go. Like I feel portals close and then they appear. That's how I see what a portal is. And I think portals, there's like millions of portals on planet Earth and in the dimensions. And I constantly see them shifting. That's how I see a portal. And yes, I believe certain messages, certain star beings, lineages, it's actually known that Indigenous people came from portals. So I do believe there will be a portal that opens up and that energy comes through it. I believe, can a human go through it? Yeah, I'm not closed off to that idea, but I think you might go through it in your meditation or your journey and you will receive messages. Or maybe at when we're like falling, when we're like about to go to sleep and you're in your dream state, yes, is there a good chance that you might be going through a portal to a different planet and receiving messages and then bringing it back to your awake state? I do believe that. So yes, there's portals everywhere to me, but the stargates are something that is really created by Mother Gaia herself. So it's created by nature. It is an energy field. So it's like, it's not a physical object. It's not like a technology where people are thinking it's this big gate and let me go through it. I look at it as like literally like a field. And it's when you see like, let's say in the morning before the sun is rising and it's about to be very dewy on the grass, like you see that dew, you see that
let me
crystal.
let me cut to the end of the test right now.
Yeah.
For the pop quiz, the grade threer. What's the purpose of the Stargate?
To me, the purpose of the Stargate is the energy it's giving to humanity in the collective. And unfortunately, I feel a lot of Stargates have been dormant for the last 12,000 years. But before then, the Stargates were, it was like an upgrade for humanity. It was an energy, it was a gift from Mother Gaia herself. So that was the purpose. It was her giving us this frequency in these certain locations on her planet to show us how beautiful nature is, to feel that we are actually all connected. Because just because a Stargate is there doesn't mean you can't tap within and feel the Stargate. Like I can close my eyes right now and
So
focus.
proximity is irrelevant. Then that's basically what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is the whole idea. It goes back to, I think, the biggest false belief on planet Earth that we are separate from one another, separate from nature. So it ties into that, which I think is a huge purpose with the Stargates to remind humans that, hey, we are all connected, we're all one.
Look, I mean, for that statement, I'll go for the last part of it first. across the board with us being separate from nature, I think if you look across every culture, every belief system, I don't see how that factors into it because look, you and me, you and I think one of us is grammatically correct. I think we come at it from more of the everything is connected just
Mhm.
because, whether it be quantum entanglement with proximity and not being an issue, or to simply, yeah, we're all one. We all came from the same thing. And then when you look at those who believe in science, and firm believer in science here, just have to say, I believe in the theory of evolution. Uh, well, the theory, the basis of it, I think there's a lot more to it. We have a sliver of it, but even based off the theory of evolution, we are connected to nature. It
Mhm.
just is because it all came from the Big Bang. And then life on Earth evolved out of some spark, whatever it may be, that happened in nature. So there's a connection there. Then if you look to the religious folks, and we'll just go with Judeo Christian right now. I mean, the Garden of Eden. To me, that's being in nature, connection with nature. It's indulging in nature.
Mhm.
And so anyone who doesn't believe that we are connected to nature, you do you. I just don't get how you don't see it based off of pretty much every belief system that's out there. Then again, okay, maybe, well, I guess atheists do believe, well, most of them in the theory of evolution and the Big Bang. So, yeah. But why do I need a Stargate to go outside and look at a field of flowers and find it beautiful? Or is that the reason why
Well,
I see that as beautiful, that perception?
exactly. Well, this is what's coming through. And I do want to say, first off, like, yeah, I 100% agree. When people are like, a Stargate, it's like, well, you believe in nature. Like, when you look up, you see the stars, you see the moon. How do you explain the moon pulling in the tide? And how do you explain the earth moving perfectly? How do you
Well,
explain,
science,
the sun? Yeah, exactly. So
physics.
to me, science and physics is spirituality. It's all connected. But a lot of people want proof, where I understand that. And I've always been a person. Sorry, there's sirens in the back. But
They
I've
don't
always,
like what you're saying.
yeah, but no, they're coming for me. There always been this energy, or for me, I do not need to believe in the physical because we come from non-physical. And I
Mhm.
think believing is seeing. So when you believe, you actually see. And that's where faith comes into play. But a lot of people do want proof, and I understand that. But when
Well, I
what's coming
guess,
through right now,
mind if I jump in there?
yes,
One,
yes.
I don't discount what you're saying.
Mhm.
And portals, I am fully open to the idea. Is there proof of it? No. But then again, I'm a past life regressionist.
Yeah.
So I'm there with you on that one. I guess just what I'm asking is that why? Is that why I perceive something as beautiful is because of these stargates? And without it, I would just be like, oh, there's just some, I don't know, some color out there. Do I see as beautiful? No. Is it like I often wonder, why is it when I go higher in elevation, do I find something more beautiful down below?
Mhm.
What is it about perspective that
Exactly.
brings that beauty? So I guess that's what I'm asking. Is
Well,
the Stargate responsible for it? Or because, you talked about that connection.
totally. And this is how I see it. Like, I feel through the last couple centuries that we have been shown a map, and this map kind of has been lying to humanity, and it has put this energy of divide and separation that I really believe Mother Gaia never wanted. So this is where I ask people, when you look at a map, and, I speak about the Stargates, and I'm saying that there's Stargates all over Africa. There's Stargate 1, Mount Shasta. We have Stargate over here, Stargate 5 in Egypt, Stargate 9 in Antarctica, 10 in Iran. But look at those Stargates instead of looking at the map as these borders and this divide and separation. And we actually just look at where the Stargates are on the map. And then we draw the ley lines and the connection. I think this is what her point is. It's connecting humanity as a whole. And that's the perspective I think she wants. And I don't think anybody needs to really go travel to a Stargate. I I'm in a grid working community. I love to do grid work, but I'm a big believer that you need to ask the Indigenous people of the land permission and the land itself permission before you do an offering, before you sit down and pray and do light language on certain areas of land. And I think that's important. And if you do that with the right intention, yes, that's beautiful. But it's also, you don't need to travel there. Like my guides keep saying, people need to go within. They need to realize the actual connection is your mind and your heart connecting. And the more that people do that and realize, okay, if I take this whole scientific Stargate energy and I maybe put it within here and I tap in and I focus my energy, what might come up? And it's asking those questions. Okay, what is this feeling that's coming up? And I think that's what really heals the collective and what will shift humanity into a better place. It might be all very, and like I'm looking at it from such a positive perspective, but this is really what I see when I ask what Mother Gaia wants. Like, why are the gates important? And she tells me it's because it's a map. They've given us a false map. Let me give you the true map of my stargates and let's connect it. And this is what, and she's like, I'm with all of you. And if only humanity realizes this and stop dividing and separating from one another and being open to each other and listening to one another and listening to nature, I think this is what will shift. This will help heal the world.
So I want to go back to something you brought up earlier. And please correct me if I'm wrong here. I think you said that it's known that Indigenous people came here through portals. Was that what you said?
Yeah, certain tribes. Yes.
How is it known that, and this will all be relevant, but how is that known that they came here through portals?
I've heard this from many people. And also I've heard it from, like, I grew up in Canada and I've heard this from, First Nations people. And I've asked my guides and they've shown me, yes, that's correct. So I do believe that. I think it's something I can't prove, but it's either you're going to believe it or you don't. So it's something I have no proof of. It's just a knowing inside of me.
So even
just like how I know we come from Africa, it's kind of like that energy. So it's a knowing, even though that's been scientifically proven, but a lot of people still challenge and disagree.
Until the discovery comes up in a week that we came from the Andes before that. I'm just where we make do with what we have available to us now. Like that's where we base our conclusions off of the information that's presented to us now. So in this current linear moment that we find ourselves, and I'm like, yeah, I think that's what the science says, is that we came from Africa, migrated out of Africa. So yeah, until, but then again, that may never come because maybe that's exactly as it was. But I still would ask, how is it known that they came through portals? Or is that a matter of perception?
I feel like it's storytelling and it's not fake storytelling. This is the thing about ancestral lineage. They shared their spirituality through stories. And I think storytelling is the best thing we have on planet Earth to show the truth. And it's actually funny how many people commented the Stargate movie, the Stargate TV series, because it's actually like, I've never seen that, but I'm a big believer that these writers, directors, and storytellers, they were remembering something. And this is why your work is so important too, because, there's no such thing as past life really, because those timelines are still there. And it's about shifting your awareness to tapping into that. And when we understand and we go into those realms, we really begin to deepen into an understanding. Because I think for the last few centuries, there's been this energy, this weather on planet Earth, and this energy of like naive, like this ignorance and kind of this system put into play. But now it's 2026. We can't say we've been programmed. It's not like in the 50s and 60s where they had only their neighbors, their teachers, their family to tell them what it is, their church, their religion. No, you can now choose to educate yourself and go on social media, find anybody from the corner of the world speaking about their culture, their religion, their beliefs. And people can begin to shift their awareness and learn and listen. And it comes back to listening, but it takes a person having the willing to do that. It takes an individual to open themselves up and actually shift and educate themselves. But for a long time, there's been this energy of narrow minded thinking. And I think it really needs to begin to step into a place where people, and I think a lot of people after COVID, which is amazing because before COVID, people who I knew were like, you're so crazy. You have crystals, you're meditating. What are you talking about? And even since I'm a young girl, people like made fun of me like all the time. They're like, prove this, explain this, like on the playground. And I'm like, I don't know. I just believe. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So when people are after the Daily Show are calling me stupid, I'm like, okay, this has been a thing since I've been a child. I've been called this, but it doesn't bug me because this is my beliefs. Like, I really don't need proof. I believe what is coming through, and I'm open to even understanding more. So I think that's what really takes the curiosity and being curious on planet Earth as a soul and to be open. And that's where we begin to understand and learn about these stories that have been passed down for centuries. So I think it's really about returning back to the beginning of time and the ancestors and listening to those stories. So, yeah, I hope that answered your question. I don't know if it did.
I want to believe.
Yeah.
And I do believe in Stargates and portals. There's no proof of it, so I would never say I know. I want to believe, and I do believe. Have you ever played the game Telephone before?
Yes. And actually, that popped up in my mind that I thought you were maybe going to say that because it is like the telephone game where you don't know if things got,
Changed, muddled,
it got
just
changed,
one
which
word is switched here and there and over centuries.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. But when you look at someone, let's say you can tune to someone's energy and you can tell if that person's authentic. That's why I haven't done ayahuasca yet because I want to find the right shaman. I want to know the storytelling from that shaman. I want to know the ancestral lineage from that shaman. And I need to know energy wise before I do any type of ayahuasca. I've never done mushrooms. I need to know and feel for that frequency. So it really depends who you tune into.
I think
And
that that's I think that's where it gets dangerous though, because you said you can tell when someone is being authentic. And
yeah, you have to trust your intuition.
no, I agree with you, but they may be authentic. But what if the story that they're telling has been playing telephone for thousands of years? Sure, maybe the and got switched around somewhere in their telling, and they are being authentic, but they're working off of the information that they were presented with. And what happened before that? Because even in our modern day,
yes,
look around right now, everyone.
Yeah.
There are things being taken out of books or taught another way. And if you go down and on a linear time sense, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 300 years from now, what came before becomes forgotten.
Totally. Well, I 100% agree with that because look at history. They've rewritten history, they've suppressed it, they have lied. That's why when people say, "Oh, your education system." First of all, I grew up in Canada. That's the education system I've had. But the US education system, to me, it's all a lie. Like history is a lie. And I feel like it's totally beyond twisted. But this is where let's take the telephone idea out of place. And if someone taps in and taps into a past life, let's say, they are with their guides, they're channeling, that message is authentic to me. Maybe not to some people, but I believe that you are tapping into a blueprint of a certain timeline and that message is right there where it hasn't gotten rewritten yet.
I'll agree with that 98% of the time.
Okay. Yes. And 98% because you never know what may be lower forces, lower entities might be what someone might be channeling, might not be authentic in that second. Yes, so I agree with that 98% of the time. But if you have the right intention and you're tapping in and your question and you have an openness in your energy and you are tapping into an energy of love, you're protecting your energy, I believe that you're going to get the right message.
So you're not backing off of the whole portal. Entirely
No, I
possible.
believe it.
Huh?
You tell me, and I believe it. Like, yeah, I have a beautiful, a little story I want to share. But stories shape what we believe. Like when we were kids, we went to a First Nations tribe to learn about the culture. We sat with a chief. He explained to us the rituals, their ways of life, how they practice. I think we were like 8 years old at the time, and this was like a field trip. And this was like I just loved it. Like this was everything I was about. So we all got a spirit animal name, and I was hoping and praying for the wolf because I was super like really just aligned with the wolf. And he gave me the name the sparrow. And it's a tiny bird, right? I know, and everyone made
I
fun
was
of me.
waiting for you to be the wolf, but I'm like, spirit, is
Oh
that a
yeah.
fucking bird? Yeah.
All the kids made fun of me because I'm pretty tiny, like I'm very petite. And I've always been like that. I never really grew. So everyone made fun of me and they were laughing and they're like, "You're the little bird." And he took me on a little walk and he said to me, "You know why I gave you the sparrow?" And I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because the sparrow is the closest to creator. And you see everything from creator's view. You see it from a bird's eye view. You see it from the higher perspective." And he said, in life, this is what I want you to do. Always look at from the higher lens, from the higher perspective. Go beyond and look beyond. And I've always taken that and it's always stuck with me. So I do believe in portals. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just, I'm going to look from the sparrow's point of view and see it. And this is that. But yeah, of course, so many people won't believe this.
And that's
Like,
okay.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I think intention is very important. And
Mhm.
the purity of who's delivering the message, I think it just gets muddled when someone may be working off of information that's incomplete
Mhm.
or incorrect, but they believe. Again, I'm right there with you. I believe in this stuff you're talking about. And with Indigenous people coming here through portals from elsewhere, I'm like, yeah, I could see that being something. I could.
Mhm.
So I'm not discounting that at all. I think perception also becomes a big part of the equation because even when you said that before you talked about oral tradition, I thought about cave art
Mhm.
and storytelling through art and how
Mhm.
that becomes a matter of perspective also. Because whoever was drawing at the time, art wasn't as sophisticated as it was. They were still better drawers than I am right now. But nonetheless, a being from somewhere else may have been drawn very similar to a humanoid figure, or maybe they were humanoid. Even with Stargate, with the movie, yeah, I'm not ruining it for anyone since the movie came out 32 years ago, but there were some similarities to elsewhere for a reason. I'll just say that these Stargates played an important part in why things may look similar from
Mhm.
elsewhere. But
Mhm.
I bring that up because what if the perspective shifted and it wasn't indigenous people that came from somewhere else, but it was that they were visited by beings that were humanoid and
Mhm.
largely looked like them. And those beings came through portals. But when the interpretation of a drawing is being done, I know you were talking about it through oral tradition,
Mhm.
but nonetheless, there is artwork that
I know.
that displays such a notion. So, what if the interpretation is what gets muddled and what was being presented wasn't in the message as it's being interpreted, wasn't the way it was originally intended to come across? And then it becomes, oh, well, us indigenous folk came from elsewhere. And that's where it's like, well, no, we were visited. But
Well,
the interpretation is,
I say absolutely. Like my guides have shown me it's both. They're not saying all Indigenous people have
No,
come.
and I didn't gather that from what you were
Yeah,
saying. You
yeah.
just said
Same
indigenous people. There are
tribes. Yeah.
many indigenous tribes in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, many tribes, but they've also shown me like certain star seeds have come through portals. Certain star beings or extraterrestrial beings have come here to, a lot of times help planet Earth. Yes, there has been some that have wanted to control, but overall, it's been more positive star beings and entities and extraterrestrial beings that have come through portals to help the greater good of mankind. So I 100% agree with that.
Mm.
And I believe that, like, I'm tapping lately into the Anunnaki, and there's a lot of in the spiritual community, like, very much twisted stuff behind it because they don't show me they were gods. They were showing me that they served a higher purpose to help humans and actually help with the Stargates, help the frequency, hold the energy, guard the energy of the Stargates, kind of like how the dragons were doing too.
So,
So,
sorry, can I jump in there for that one? For
yeah.
anyone who's unfamiliar with it, what Marie's referring to right now with the Anunnaki are this, stories go that they are beings from elsewhere who have basically been controlling humanity for thousands of years. And a lot of, they created religion, that they presented themselves as gods, and that a lot of the stories that we've been told are actually of the Anunnaki and not of like that they were the giants and that they were, so on and so forth. And look, maybe, I'll just say maybe, but I think also where I would caution you in this respect and caution anyone when it comes to writing a fictional story. And let me back up on that a bit. I'm not saying it's a fictional story, but when it comes to writing a story, the best villains are the ones who believe that they're doing the right thing. So I want everyone right now to think of your favorite movie or your favorite book or story. 9 times out of 10, that villain is going to think that they're doing the right thing. And so then it becomes a matter of perspective also. So if you're tapping into them, they may actually perceive it as, oh no, we're helping them.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore you're like, oh, that's the intention I'm getting off of them.
Right.
Well, like maybe that's the way they see it. They think that they're doing the right thing. Then again, maybe not. Or then again, maybe it's all bullshit. There's no such thing as the Anunnaki. And humanity is just really messed up because, humans suck. So, but that's like
Exactly.
where I would just caution anyone who is in an ayahuasca ceremony or meditating and use discernment with whatever you're connecting with, because maybe they believe that they are pure and doing the right thing. And maybe that's why you're like, oh, they're helping. They say they're helping. And maybe they actually believe it. But I think that, there are a lot of people you can probably think of also who think that they're doing the right thing.
Oh, 100%.
But they're actually genocidal maniacs.
What I do want to say, though, because I'm a big believer, and this is what my guides show me, that we have to be very careful what beings, what extraterrestrial beings, what lineages we put into a box. Because, for example, a lot of people think the reptilian civilization is evil. I don't see it that way. They don't even have that much influence on planet Earth right now. And they are
allegedly.
Okay. Some people, this is my belief. Okay. Let's say that this is my belief. I believe that.
Allegedly, either way. Sorry.
Yeah, either way. But this is how I look at it. This is what my guides have presented. There's going to be beings that are service to self. So STS. And then there's going to be beings that are service to others. STO. So, and then there's 2 forces in the universe. There's the force of forgetting and the force of remembering. And you can think of it like a vortex. And humans, beings, entities, extraterrestrial beings all get sucked in to whichever vortex they're kind of leaning towards. Do I believe there might be an in-between? Yes. I believe there's a lot of souls actually in the in-between where they're not super evil, but they're like a bit selfish, a bit greedy, and they don't know how to remember yet. But this is the thing. Every soul's on a journey. Same with star beings, same with extraterrestrial beings. Majority of them are not bad because actually the universe has advanced and healed longer than planet Earth has. Planet Earth is a school. So to me, on the spiral, I have now seen that the universe is more advanced in the healing journey than it was before. The reptilians come from the Draco star constellation, one of the oldest in the sky. Same with the Lyrans. This is where galactic wars were happening. And I believe a lot of souls on planet Earth. Allegedly, yes. Add that in, people. I don't know if I'm right. I'm sharing you what is coming through. But this is where people need to remember that these are very old lineages that have had more time or light years to forget and remember. So there's this energy where we can't keep putting things in a box because this is what separates us. So to look at a reptilian to be like, no, it's so evil. But what if that one reptilian is in its journey of healing and wants to serve humanity and help? So this is where people are getting it super mixed up. Mm-hmm. And then also to say the government's brainwashed by reptilians. These are souls that have not done the inner work. And to blame it just on one of the oldest lineages in the universe is just putting like a band-aid over it and not actually seeing the problem. And the main problem is the wound of separation. It is the divide. That is the symptom. It's the wound of separation. It's the divide that is in the universe on planet Earth. And this is where we have to be careful about pointing that finger at certain lineages and saying, no, you're evil, you are bad. And I believe the government is going to try to do that. They're going to try to look, they're talking about grace. They're talking about reptilians. They're talking about Pleiadians. This is like, that was on Fox News, apparently.
Well, then it must be true.
Yeah, they're bringing this up because they also want to be like, hey, look, world, we have the power, we have the control. We know we're going to protect you, humanity. Don't trust these extraterrestrial beings. When it's like what? No, I don't trust you, humans. Like, I would trust an extraterrestrial being over humans. No offense, over a government official. Just saying it. Like, this is where you really need to see Disclosure Day, like an ET back to storytelling. Like, you can't make this up. Like,
well, you can,
but yeah, I mean, you can't make up the feeling. Like, it's just,
that's true.
It's the feeling. Like, it's like when you connect with nature, it's when you connect with a bird, when you lock eyes with a lion. Like, you cannot make up that divine energy.
I don't think you're supposed to lock eyes with the lion, but that's
I have. And we were like,
I looked into that one. Sorry, just looking in eye contact with cats.
And it was 6 feet away from me.
Sorry, because this is where I go. I'm like, anyone out there locks eyes with a wild bobcat, I'm like, I don't want them hearing on Timeless Spirituality that it's okay to look a cat in the eye.
Yeah, maybe
Marie just has some like wild animal taming thing where her guides are just sitting behind her and the lion can say like, she okay. And I don't know why they talk like that. Sparrow okay.
All right, I don't want to brag, but like I've had people like in the restaurant like clap at me because like a hummingbird has come right at me and like looked at me in the eyes.
Really, that's happening a lot. People are clapping for you in restaurants when birds come around.
Well, it's happened twice.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Like, but I shouldn't be. But anybody can connect with nature, like anybody. But you have to open yourself up to that. Like, nature, I always say, is the best messenger. Every time I see a butterfly, I'm like, that's my grandma. Like, she's saying hello to me. She's shape-shifting into that butterfly, or she just sent that butterfly to me. Mm-hmm. So it really comes down to beliefs, though. Like, that's just the thing. You either believe in this or you don't. And
I'm with Marie on that one. But in, the interest of disclosure, I also believe the psychosis is a real thing. So, same. I'm with you, Marie. I just want to make sure that everyone walks out armed with, I think even armed is like a strong word, but I just want everyone to be able to make the best choices they can make in the world.
Mhm,
And like, I think a parallel to even what Marie was talking about earlier with, oh, not all reptilians are bad
mhm,
in America right now.
mhm,
And I think the clearest, divide are political lines for the most part. I'm sorry, not all Republicans are bad.
mhm,
Not all Democrats are bad.
mhm,
Not all liberals are bad. Not all conservatives are bad.
mhm.
Are some? Yes. Yes, some are. Whichever
Yes,
camp you fall into, I'm sorry to break it to you. Some on your, I put this in quotes that you guys can't see, side are
yeah,
bad people.
yeah,
I'm not really plugged into, oh, this collective, the Palladians, they're the most pure because, they fart out watermelon. Bad example. What, and
right.
I don't know if they do that, but, or this one, they operate this way. I think it's probably foolish to put everyone in the same camp, to not expect there to be some difference between any beings on some level. Cause yeah, even if we're all connected, we also may have our own distinct personalities. Again,
Yeah,
maybe it works differently there where they all are one and they're all boring as shit or whatever it may
yeah,
be. But nonetheless, anyone who goes out there saying they're all bad, they're all good, I'm sorry, you're an idiot.
mhm.
Am I being harsh and a little absolute in saying that? Yeah, but you're an idiot for believing that you know exactly how it is and that this is, oh, they're all great. Oh, when I connect with them every night and they do things to me, it's for the greatest good. You're an
Exactly.
idiot.
Yeah. It is, and my guides have shown me multiple times that a lot of Pleiadians, Lyrans, Syrians, they are service to self. There's a lot of beings that are service to self
Mm-hmm.
in that lineage, but then there's also a lot that are service to others. It's
Really
really
quick,
a
do you put those, are those the camp of remembrance and forgetting? Do you break that into service of self and service of other?
yeah, so, like, the forgetting is service to self to me, and then the remembering is service to others. So, that is how I see it. I see there's
There,
2 forces.
again, I would caution anyone listening to that because I
Mhm.
think that, look, I believe that I remember a lot of my other lives. I believe that I remember more than what I've been in this body, but I also have the capacity to do bad things. I still mess up, even after I started quote unquote remembering. I'm not perfect. And I,
Exactly,
I
and that's not
think,
what the remembering is about. The remembering is more so an energy and force in nature where people are trying to do better things. Yes, you're gonna mess up as a human, but if you have an intention where you're coming and stemming from a place of, like, unconditional love, and you are trying to show up, you're trying to learn, you're trying to grow, you are gonna make mistakes. That is the energy of remembering. The energy of forgetting is the energy of not remembering that we are all connected and we are all one. It's the division. It's the complete divide, the racism, the hate, the evilness, the control, and the greed. There's many souls in the in between because there's a lot of souls that might be a bit greedy, but then they're not horrible humans. They just might be looking more through their lens, like every soul is. We're looking through our own lens, like our own point of view. So it's not that it's like this hard, you're in the forgetting, that you're in the remembering, but the energy of forgetting is a very lower vibration. And yes, maybe some people who are in the remembering will fall down there. But let's say you're a person on your dark night of the soul journey, that can happen many times in your life. Like it's a healing is a journey. It is a remembering. And you don't fall all the way down into this energy of forgetting. It's more so you are allowing yourself to remember, okay, we are not all separate. We come from unconditional love. These are some of my beliefs. Now, how can I grow and learn from these beliefs? How can I move throughout my day, throughout my life with these beliefs? But to think like we are, to have hate and to have racism, to have divide, to have evilness, that is all in the energy of forgetting. And a lot of governments, a lot of billionaires, they fall under this. And it's sad because there's some people who do have the right intention, but their ego takes over. and they fall into this frequency and this lower vibration. And some people just can't get out of it. And it takes doing the inner work to get out of that energy.
Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.